Brothers and sisters, generals, welcome to another edition of EBX Discussion. And I thank the current subscriber, new subscriber, anybody that view. I salute you and thank you. May that great divine be in our life, keep us strong and prospering. As I always like to say, I honor thy ancestors. That's what this going to be about, the power of our ancestors. And we're going to dive in deep on divine power and cultivating it. And we're going to speak on sharpening our focus. General, salute, brother, sister, family. And of course, got a couple songs. And one is We Here, got to be thankful, And we learned that from our elders and our ancestors, far and near. Immediate family, our ancestors that fought with little or nothing before technology and social media and still powered through and passed on that warrior spirit to many generals out here. Salute, brother, sister, family. Again, I got two songs. One, We Here, and Stop Hurting Each Other, because that's something we got to get to the core of ourselves so we can be the warriors that great divine has called many of us to be, as well as Mother Nature in that universe. So salute for those for coming in. And we're going to speak on the power of our ancestors. And I want to salute and honor my grandmother and my granddad. May they rest in peace and in power. Well, as my aunt had an aunt, Vera, that transition, may she rest in peace and in power. Members of my family, my dad, rest in peace and in power. L'Oreal Lyrical, y'all hear me talk about her all the time. And anyone in one's family, may they rest in peace and in power. But my mom, still alive, salute to all one's family. I know some of us have ups and downs with family, but as I learned from a great brother, this ain't mine now. We take the good, leave the bad. That's not mine, that's somebody else's. So we can't project challenges we have with our families onto others, because everybody's family different. So we have to, it's okay to teach about our families. I'm just coming off perspective and opinion, but we got to make sure it's not coming from a place of hurt, from a place of learning, because every family's different. So we got to make sure we're not projecting, and that's for me too. We learn, we analyze, break down, and then we lead ourselves and we teach others to become leaders themselves. That's what it's all about. You hear me say that from time to time, because it's so wonderful when we can put out, jewels we've dropped, teachings, and remembering our ancestors, brothers and sisters. Don't forget that. That's another reason why we have to look at all aspects of our families. And I'm not talking about those who caused someone demise or done heinous things. That's different. That life will teach them. We got to let life teach them, but I'm talking about just little minor, challenges we have with our families. Draw that good up out of there. I had good experiences with my family. We used to take road trips, and I remember going to Brownsville, Tennessee, and my grandparents, we would all pack up in the van and take a trip every summer. I remember that. And it kept us a tight-knit family, till everybody, got a little older and had children and marriage and all that kind of stuff. But for a long while, we still are, just like I say, things change, people move away, transition, and all that, all that kind of stuff. But I do remember the time that we used to take trips every summer, And I'm going to put in the end screen a podcast about my dad, rest in peace and in power, who was a great guy, passed down some great gifts to me as well as my mom. Salute, because I like to say it wouldn't be no chosen ones if it wasn't for our grandparents and our parents. So that's why we're speaking on the power of our ancestors and how powerful they really were. It amazes me, the things they had to endure and still plow through and pass, and just so they can pass that warrior spirit on to us. Brother, sister, family. It's a beautiful thing when we finally, become that lighthouse in a storm. Again, wouldn't be no chosen ones. We wouldn't have the skills and abilities, some of us, if it wasn't for our grandparents and parents. So I salute my grandma and granddad. And I'm going to put a podcast I did on them in the end screen. And on the thumbnail and or banner is a picture of them standing in front of their farmhouse. So you might not be able to see it in the photo. And it's an older photo, so the graphics might not be too great. But I'm going to put it in the end screen. And I spoke on my grandparents and one about my dad. It's about appreciating the black man. I think that's the title of the one with my dad on it. And he's on the thumbnail and banner. Then the one with my grandma and granddad, it's salute to our elders. I think that's the name of it. So I put both of those in the end screen, so you can let my generals, those who listen, ride along, salute, get to know my dad a little bit and my grandparents, and they lived a full life and watched their kids grow and seen most of their grandkids. And my grandma used to always get out in the yard in nature, and both of them used to go fishing all the time. That's how I kind of got a little insight about nature, because my grandma stayed in the yard. She stayed in nature and growing greens and tomatoes, and I think she may have did a little corn on the cob. And she had a real small garden, but it was neat how she had it. She kind of had it like up against the fence. She was always doing something out in the yard and keeping it clean and nice and tidy, just like the house. So my grandma was always outside, so she was connected to nature, as well as my granddad. He stayed fishing. I'm sure that was meditation for him when he went fishing. That was my granddad meditation time, I'm sure, because that's when we connect. That's when we get to the core of our thoughts and our soul. That's how we I would say, get into nature and connecting with a divine spirit. We have to go through our chakras. That's just one's opinion and or theory. We got to go through them 7 chakras, which I gotta get to the 3rd chakra. I did the 1st chakra and the 2nd chakra, which is the root, which is the 1st, and the 2nd one is the sacral. I did both of them, and they're on my podcast. The next one will be the 3rd chakra, and I won't say what it is until I do that podcast, but look for that. And I did text Lord Lamont. We're going to try to do a father and son discussion this weekend. Well, we are, if he's able to. And because I think he needs to talk, and kind of went through some challenges last couple of weeks. So talk to him and kind of help him out, get him, keep him on track, So look for that. More music from him. My cuz, L'Oreal Lyrical. May she rest in peace and in power. Anybody in one's family, I'll keep their spirit alive. Anyone in my family, and all of us that have loved ones that we have cherished, that held dear, keep their spirit alive, especially the righteous ones, and like I say, my auntie, a lot of us are living off the fruit that she bared. She did everything she set out to achieve, as well as my grandparents and my dad. And again, this is about the power of our ancestors, brothers and sisters. Just cling to that, learn from our elders and our ancestors so we can know what to do. And not get so bogged down by technology and, and toxic things coming at us through person, place, thing. Watch out for the discouragements of ads and sometimes YouTube, stuff like that. Stay on point. Be that lighthouse in the storm. Something I became when I turned 50. Man, it's like, and I've said this to many people, I don't know what it is. And I always tell people, sometimes it can take a lifetime to center oneself. So we have to think about that when we see those who are upright, whether it's our family, brothers and sisters in the world or online. When we really do see someone that's true, always be mindful and think of what they may have went through to get to where they are. Some has almost lost their lives, stuff like that. So that's something I keep in my mind, because I've had some challenging times as well. And another thing we have to be mindful of is the conditioning that I'll say the whole world, it's like a spell, but some recognize it, some don't. I always like to reiterate, we can't break a spell if we don't know we're under one. And this world can have you under a spell, whatever you want to call it. Step outside of ourselves righteously, away from this so-called matrix. Talk down on it, be above and beyond these platforms. Remember, my generals, this is just a place of expression. And those that have small platform, maybe like me, stay with it. If you got good in your heart, keep doing what you love and love what you do, whatever kind of skill one's expressing on the platform. But it goes beyond that, though. Once we get deep into our gut and really trying to reach people and get serious on this divine walk, it will drop in our spirit when we meditate and or do prayer. The importance of really changing lives and building generals, because we're social creatures. Again, like I say, I'm a lover of solitude, but I can also be a people person. I can give one advice and lift one's spirits, because I've had people lift me up, so that's what we do. We take that baton and pass it on to the next general, whether it's brother or sister, younger or older, or family. Remember, we're talking about that realm. We're bringing it all the way from our grandparents and our ancestors, because we start where they left off. This is another breakdown of our family, because remember, every generation is different. Times are different. So our ancestors, our grandparents, or maybe even parents, they worked with what they had. But if you were in a good space, a lot of that has to do with the skills, abilities, and talents our grandparents and our parents carried. So just got to keep that in mind. Again, wouldn't be no generals out here, wouldn't be no chosen ones if it wasn't for our grandparents and our parents. Because some of these skills and abilities came from that great divine, but through our grandparents and parents. That's just my opinion and or theory. But I want to get to a couple of songs I want to play. Then of course I got a summary breakdown of sharpening our focus and cultivating. Now we know what focus mean, we know what cultivating mean, but reading is good. Remember, cognitive functions, and we learn these things on this walk, and we get to a point where if we don't know something, it don't mean we're stupid. We study in that area, ask questions, and get to the root and learn it, whatever expertise, whatever area of expertise we are in. I hear a brother say that. I be fumbling words sometimes, but yeah. But again, that's somebody else I hear speak on and say, but that's true. Whatever area we, are a little, I wouldn't say not confusion, but a challenge or concern, study that area, whether it's physical, mental, something in our life with our children, family, study hard so we can be the generals and divine warriors that great divine has caused so many of us to be. So I'm gonna play these couple songs, and the first one is We Here. Be thankful that we here. And that's a message from our ancestors, our grandparents, our parents, those far and near, those way before civilization and technology. I just want us to marinate on that, how they were still able to plow through with little of nothing. Because I always go back to what Malcolm X said: the most powerful general in this world, brother, sister, family, is one who don't need a lot and can move through life with the least amount of tools. That's a powerful brother or sister. So let me see. The first song is We Here. Of course, I got to get to it. Let me see. All right, we're going to get to it here. All right, brothers and sisters, we are here. And just be thankful that we are here. And keep on forging forward and staying the generals the great divine called us to be. Be back with I'm going to play two songs. I'm going to play them back to back. The next one is Stop Hurting Each Other. And I'm for real, because that's the only way we're going to have some sense of unity. You know what I'm saying? At least in our mind. Because I always say what we harbor in our soul does matter. Because if we don't work on what's in the pit of that soul, whether it's mental, physical, whatever challenge it is, because everything begins with a thought. So if we don't deal with that inner thought deep within, and get rid of that inner enemy, man, at least start there. Then we can work our way out to a righteous physical. Real talk. But it's always going to start with in. Okay, how many times we hear it. But at the same time, be thankful we're here. Be right back. Yeah, for my generals, family, brothers and sisters that had fought so very hard, as well as our ancestors, to get to a foundation. You know what? Be thankful that we're here. Yeah. We got no time for fear. To my family, wipe away them tears. Yeah. Be thankful that we're here. Brothers and sisters, we got no time for fear. Just wipe away them tears. Brothers and sisters, be thankful that we're here. And to my family, we got no time for fear. Be thankful that we're here. I'm do what I got to do, and I'ma make it through. And you teach me, and I teach you. Want us to win and never ever lose. To have a clue and do what we gotta do. And know we never drop in this life, we never stop. Got that good energy through this here hip hop. Ain't no entity ever gonna stop the E. Cause I'ma be a beast righteously. I'ma teach us all to stay free. Man, that foundation, yeah, changing every generation, yeah. With this talking, brothers and sisters, good conversations, yeah, no debate. If it's toxic, man, get out the way, yeah. Staying on this journey. listen to what that divine say. Woo! Yeah. Be thankful that we're here. Yeah. Man, we got no time for fear. Brothers and sisters, just wipe away them tears. And my family, be thankful that we're here. Yeah. We got no time for fear. Brothers and sisters, just thankful that we're here. To my family, just wipe away them tears. Yeah. Be thankful that we're here. On fire, it's that divine I admire, and I want to lift us up. Man, so dang higher, never low. Yeah, my family and my sisters and my bro gotta be clear and on point, staying on our toes. Gotta watch things around us, stay in focus in this life. Stay with in these relationships and righteous with our wife and our husbands and our sisters and our bros. Stay on the go. Gotta be knowledgeable and righteous in our soul. Woo! Yeah. Be thankful that we're here. We got no time for fear. And my family, wipe away them tears. Yeah. Be thankful that we're here. Yeah. We got no time for fear. Brothers and sisters, just wipe away them tears. Yeah. Be thankful that we're here. And to my family, we got no time for fear. Yeah. Man, just wipe away them tears. Just wipe away them tears. Man, be thankful that we're here. Yeah. We got no time for fear. No, we got no time for fear. Man, be thankful that we're here. Real talk, brothers and sisters. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Be thankful that we here, brothers and sisters. You know, live and breathing. We back to conquer another day, another year, and another decade. You know, and but in order to, we got to get through the madness. To get through the madness, to get to the goodness, we gotta tap in to anything that's hurting us. Because again, if we're projecting. Like, I know everyone has their challenges with family and stuff like that. But again, we got to make sure, you know, again, every family's different. No family's the same. So a lot of things that may have happened, maybe with my family that went south, some of it was me. Some of it was me. So again, as I heard from a great brother, take the good, leave the bad. We got to make sure when we're teaching about families, not just opinion now. Everybody has their different perspectives on family, you know, but we got to make sure we're coming from a place of teaching and not a place of hurt or projection, you know, because I always said when I started doing this that I wouldn't teach off emotion. I wanted to come from a place of learning, experience, teaching, you know, so we can teach others to tap in to their pit of their soul, you know, and get underneath all the gunk, as I like to say. Man, just get to that part of us that could help us where we can just breathe in life and not suffocate it by harboring things within, you know, and that's whatever it is, you know, only we know what that thing is that hold us back. But once we are that lighthouse in a storm, man, it's no stopping us, I'm telling you. So, and we learned this from our ancestors. So again, salute to my grandma and granddad for, I'm sure, many abilities and skills. As you see my granddad on the banner here, and that's him in the middle, the lighter complected brother with the mustache. And I can't remember what the name of the group was, but I think it was a gospel group, or they was in a choir, something like that. And I can't remember. It was a smooth name. It's right on the tip of my tongue. They had a smooth name. I have to ask my mom, but yeah. But that's where my music abilities come from. And it was a long time I didn't know that. And I would say the God part of me, the real God, a lot of it comes from my grandma. Because my grandma, she was good at balancing. You know, she'll whoop your ass. You know, you mess up, you get out of line, she'll whoop that ass, real talk. But she also had a side that was forgiving and could endure. And no matter what, or I would say children or maybe grandchildren, she always forgave you. And I always thought I would love that about my grandma. Yeah, my granddad, he was good too. You know, had a good relationship. But my grandma was the one that was the glue that held the family together. As many of us probably know in our families, grandmas, because we talking the real grandmas, not some of these grandmas today. You know, real talk. But you know, she was the glue that held the family together. Real talk. She just had that strong spiritual side of her that was unstoppable. You know, and she was connected to that God force. You know, it wasn't like she went to church and everything, but it wasn't back then. It wasn't like these churches today. You know, my grandma was of a time, as many of us know, our elders, they really did connect to that God spirit, just like many of us come up through that Christian way. Many of us come up through Christianity until we tap into that real God spirit within, you know. Then we do away with religion, go straight to the source, which is that great divine. And I think my dad, grandma, my auntie, and my grandmother, granddad, my dad, and my mom and my auntie, I think they really the ones that weren't with us were connected. My mom, she connected. She alive though. Salute to my mom. She alive and breathing, doing good. But my aunt had an Aunt Vera transition. She was connected to that God force. My granddad, he was connected. My grandma, she was connected. And my dad, he actually ran a church. So, yeah. So, you know, we all have our own little journeys and pathways to that great divine. But only we know when it hit our soul for real and not just playing. So only we know. But again, wouldn't be no chosen ones if it wasn't for our grandparents and parents. I know I said that already, but just got to remind us. All right. But we all know, in order to know the conditioning and in order to break a spell, we got to get to the core of our soul. And hurting each other is definitely not going to help nothing. And that goes for ourselves too. But we can't hurt ourselves either. You know, again, hurt people. That's more than a saying. That's serious, real talk. Because sometimes it can make for the worse. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we got to work on those whatever we dealing with, whether it's inside or out. You know, if it's a challenge, pinpoint it, focus, reach, you know, talk to someone that's been through the same experience, do whatever we do to keep ourselves divinely centered. Because when we finally there, it's beautiful. It's like being on top of a building or a mountain, seeing out over the whole world. And that is the most wonderful place to be. Again, it could take a lifetime. But if you're there, be thankful. Show others the way if they want to be shown. Brother, sister, family. But we got to stop hurting each other. Be back after this.
Let go. Wake up music. Salute. Rest in peace and in power. Lawyer Lyrical. My cuz. Salute to Lord Lamont. Got to love one another. Stop hurting each other. My sister and my brother. Got to love one another. Keep moving on, as I say on every song. Keeping doing these things to make us strong. Man, we can't keep doing the same thing. Making sure that we don't go insane. Gotta do smart stuff in our body in this life. Making sure that we keep a good brain. I always keep my family in me while I own these beats. And I'm making sure, yeah, I pave through the storm. Making sure that our life is sweet. I make it for you. We can't lose. Gotta see clear, never be confused. Yeah, we can have good things, yeah, for my sisters, family, and my dudes. We got to love one another. Stop hurting each other. My sister and my brother. Let's go. And learn to love one another. Yeah. You done been through it too, I done been through it too. That's why I'm here and I'm a different dude, yeah. I'm still here, I'm around. That's why I got this positive sound. Never be stopped, cause I always rock. Cause I love the bottom, I don't see the top. I stay bouncing in one's mind. Yeah, I don't care if I'm high, I show that love, yeah, I lie. I love this thing that they call hip. I keep pushing through, try my best, man, to have good news. I love my family, all in my soul. I will stay grounded, sisters and bro. Can't hurt me, don't hurt each other, yeah, and stay bold. Stop hurting one another and learn to love each other. My sister and my brother, and learn to love one another.
Let go.
Stop hurting each other.
Stop
let go. My sister and my brother.
talk. I played these songs before, but it's just to remind us. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people need reminding. Real talk. So, yep. So we're going to get back to it. The power of our ancestors. And we're going to go deeper into divine power, brothers and sisters. And as I said, I'm going to get to this summary because reading is good for the cognitive functions. You get time? Look up cognitive functions because it ties in to a whole lot of things. As I said, and my son, Lord Lamont, and I talked about, every part of our body matters. So every part, every inch, every fiber, every tissue, especially the nerves, every part of our body matters. So that's why we study it. We become a student of ourselves and nature, but especially ourselves. Real talk. So, because if you got yourself straight, man, you on fire. Real talk. And be that general that great divine has called us to be. All right, so let's break it down. Leaders and teachers with a student spirit. We finna go deeper into our divine power, as well as we appreciate the power of our ancestors, because that's what a lot of us are exuding these days. That warrior spirit that traveled all the way up to now. Just think about that. That's amazing. So that means our ancestor spirit is alive and well. Real talk. And just look at the warriors out here. So all right, let's go. Leaders and teachers, student spirit, generals. Let's break down sharpening our focus, because this is how we maintain our divine power. Let's go. Sharpening focus or improving one's ability to concentrate offers numerous benefits for productivity, mental well-being, and decision making. It enhances planning, creativity, and mindfulness. When I talked about that conditioning, that's how we have to know every family is different. Every individual is different. Some may be aware they're under a spell, some may not. That's what mindfulness comes in, and discernment and intuition, things like that too. All those will come automatically once we become serious about studying human nature. Brother, sister, family, young or older, all those things will come to us automatically. Don't forget, great divine mother nature in that universe, brother and sister, ultimately leading to increased effectiveness and satisfaction in various aspects of our lives. When we put forth the effort and don't just complain about changing, make the change, become the change. Like I gave an example, like I have my weekends where I lounge, get rest. Then I have my weekends where I take charge and get busy, like this weekend. And I notice when we cut off bad habits or things that's not good for us, whether it's mentally, physically, even spiritually, we start cutting off little things that don't serve us, as us philosophers like to say. We become more healthy, more productive. We start to think a little better, again, better decision making. Like this weekend, I did the laundry, cut the grass, cleaned my house, took the kids, spent time with the kids, took them shopping, just got busy, And when you rejuvenate yourself and you don't run yourself into the ground, keep yourself balanced, best way we can as brother, sister, family. Anyone can have this divine power, but we have to take the steps, put into action, and take our lives serious. And meditation every day, set that tone every morning, get ourselves ready. And so and it's just little victories to ourselves. That's the secret, as I like to say, to connecting to that great divine. And my son Lord Lamont just texted me because I wanted him to do a podcast with him this weekend. We was gonna fall back, but I think did I mention him? I might have mentioned him in the beginning. If I didn't, I mentioned it. But yeah, we're gonna do a podcast this weekend, father and son discussion. I don't know what we're gonna talk about yet, but he's going through some challenges. So again, I wanted to help him out and let him just get some stuff, and communicate with him, and let him get some stuff off his chest. So look for that. Father and son discussion, music for myself, Loyal Lyrical, rest in peace and in power. If I didn't mention that already, yeah, but it just felt good to be productive and get, everything on my to-do list got done. By the end of the day, check. Everything was done. It's beautiful. And I always like to reiterate, every day can be a triumph. Real talk. So especially if we meditate and get into the core of our thoughts, because it's like keeping ourselves ready as generals do. All right, leaders and teachers, let's move on. All right, that was and when you don't need a lot to satisfy ourselves, least amount of tools, brothers and sisters, like Malcolm X said, makes for a powerful general. And then you can't be manipulated, because when you don't need a lot, you can't be manipulated. And you don't want or need a lot, you stay in a place of peace, and it gives you more clarity. Again, standing on top of that building or a mountain, seeing out over the whole world, above and beyond these platforms. Remember, this is just a place of expression. All right, let's move on. Enhance productivity and efficiency. When fully focused, remember, we're still talking about that divine power and what the power of our ancestors, what they had. All right, when fully focused, we can stay on task, like I did this weekend when I talked about I was just, man, I had so much energy and I love feeling that. Yep. Okay. So if we start getting results, when we put in the action, that's what will make us want to do it more. But we have to put forth the effort, to see these things come to pass. And I'm serious. That's why we got all these generals out here, because they stepped into a new them, their higher selves. That's what it's all about. And anyone can have this power. Melanated brother, sister, young or older, or family. All right, let's go. When fully focused, we can stay on task, feeling sharp and alert, leading to greater productivity, efficiency. This allows us to produce high quality work in less time. I did that this weekend. I mean, it was like boom, 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 clockwork. It's beautiful. Every day can be a divine triumph. All right. Improved planning and decision making. A sharp mind makes it easier to plan, consider options, and visualize goals, ultimately simplifying decision making. Keep it simple. That's one of my things. Keep it simple. Don't make things difficult. That's something I passed on to Lord Lamont. Yep. Don't ever say words of negativity. Don't ever talk about yourself, talk down on yourself. No. Talk positive about yourself, because what we do to ourselves does matter, folks. Like that song I just made. Hurt people. That's real. All right, let's move over to cultivation, because we got to cultivate our divine power. Once we get it, we have to study to maintain it, because I hate to use the same old cliche, but new level, new devil, and everybody take that. It only means one thing, but you know what I mean when I say that. So we got to pay attention. And something my cuz used to get on me about, L'Oreal Lyrical. She used to always beat up on me about sharing one's gifts, because there was a time she saw something in me that I didn't see. So, we have gifts, especially if it impacts the world in a small way or maybe a big way. But if you're good in your heart, you're divine in your heart, share that gift. Cultivate it, practice it, make sure it's authentic, and then we share it. And continue building generals, brother, sister, family. All right. To cultivate, we know what it means. I'm just breaking it down. All right. To cultivate means to improve or develop something by care, training or studying, like human nature, nature itself, mama nature, the universe, just cosmic things that we don't think about. It's wonderful. All right. It can also refer to preparing land or crops. Yep. Like I said, my grandma used to be in nature. My granddad, they used to go fishing. Raising and assisting the growth of plants. This can be symbolic too. Like our generals, those who listen to us, those we teach or give advice to. We planting that seed so they can grow and blossom. That's what it's about. So we can have a garden of generals. So that can be symbolic and or advice for having a garden, because that's good, growing stuff. And it's good to get the experience of watching a seed grow from the ground. You could learn a lot from that. Yep. And it can also refer to preparing. I think Bob Marley spoke on that, if I'm not mistaken. He spoke on that. The symbolism, that's what he learned. That's what gave him a new outlook on life. He learned from gardening, because if I'm not mistaken, I think Bob Marley came from a family of farmers, if I'm not mistaken, because he was Jamaican. Yep. And a lot of Jamaicans do know a lot about farming. All right. It can also refer to preparing land or crops, or raising and assisting the growth of plants or other organisms. We talking about righteous organism. Additionally, it can mean seeking the friendship or company of someone. Like I said, that could be really knowing about gardening and growing stuff, or it can be symbolic. Planting seeds and those we give advice to and share experiences with. Like my cousin said, L'Oreal Lyrical, share our gifts. Plant that righteous seed. Even when it's challenging, plant it anyway. Like I said, when we disciplining children, sometimes they're stubborn. Seem like they're not listening. Plant that seed anyway. Say it anyway. Overlook. Remember, we're the adult. They are the child. And we learn this from what? Our elders. Again, I'm going to put that in the end screen. Salute to our elders. That'll be in the end screen. And appreciate the black man, which would have my dad on the rest in peace and in power. My dad, my grandparents. And both of those podcasts will be in the end screen. again, so those can get to know my dad and my grandparents. And I got 2 brothers and a sister. I got a brother on my dad's side, and I got a brother and a sister on my mom's side. And salute to them, and they're doing great. And I think they're great divine for being in their lives and their families. If they, so if they're having any challenges, may that great divine protect them, keep them prospering. Because my brother and my sister doing well, my mom's side and my brother on my dad's side doing well. He done well. My dad did good while he was here. He had his life challenges, but at least he did most of what he was supposed to do while he was here. He didn't waste all his time. So, and then he left stuff for his family, as well as my auntie, my grandparents. So they lived a full life, and they did what that great divine has called them to do. As I said, we got to remember our parents and our grandparents. They did they did the best they could with what they had. But if they had love in their heart, that's all that matters, folks. And we start off where our ancestors left off. We take that torch and keep on going, So this has been another edition of EBX Discussion, and just want to discuss the power of our ancestors. And I just wanted to break down that divine power that many of us are carrying, cultivate it and stay balanced and stay the great warriors. Tap into that warrior that's within, that some of us may not even be aware of. Tap into it, and let nothing discourage us, person, place, thing, especially if it's toxic. So again, thank those for coming in to another edition of EBX Discussion. If I didn't say that already, I might have said it. And thanks for sharing divine power with a brother and sister, and just appreciate our ancestors, because this was a tribute to my grandparents and those who transitioned in my family, and ancestors that was before civilization and didn't have much, and still fought through. They was that lighthouse in the storm. That's what we got out here. We got a lot of lighthouses out here, a lot of generals. I'm so thankful for that. In my family, brothers and sisters in the world and online, even the youth, even in our children, we got growing warriors, especially those that got parents and adults around them guiding them. It'll be a little challenging, but they're gonna get there. You know what I'm saying? So just to thank those for coming in. So thanking our ancestors, and keep that divine power, brother, sister, family, generals. Salute.